Let's move on to the COVID issues going into the week. And there are nearly 100 players now, Josina, on the NFL's COVID list. We've got the Week 15 opener tonight, Chargers hosting the Chiefs. Have there been any talks as of yet about adjusting the testing or the thresholds to cut down on the number of players who are completely unavailable and maybe even asymptomatic?
Yes, there's been a lot of talk about the current protocols and whether there needs to be adjustments. First of all, let's just address this. There's over 100 players who have been added to the reserve COVID list, including an additional 3 from Washington today and cornerback Adoree Jackson from the Giants just within the hour. That's a record number in a 3-day period since the pandemic began. You're talking about the protocols and whether some adjustments should be made. The chief medical officer from the NFL, Dr. Alan Sills, was asked this question about whether the testing cadence needs to be reduced for his vaccinated players. And I thought it was curious when he said this, quote, "Testing is one of the tools that we have at our disposal. It's a very useful tool in certain areas," but added that testing doesn't what testing doesn't do rather is prevent transmission. So look, they're looking like they're not looking to decrease the testing cadence. And this after the NFLPA had advocated for daily testing. Also, NFLPA president J.C. Tretter had also advocated for it. Doesn't seem like it is going to happen right now. What they are doing is advocating and encouraging people in the league to take their booster shots, also mandating it for Tier 1, Tier 2 staff by December 27th. That's what they are doing. And they're also making a consideration to allow players who are vaxxed, who test positive, but are asymptomatic to potentially come back to games sooner. Right now, you have to have 2 negative tests 24 hours apart and also be asymptomatic to return. They are consulting health officials, including the CDC, to see if they should allow this. But right now, going back to what we were talking about with the testing cadence, I don't know. I think that quote is very curious to come from the chief medical officer from the NFL. I was just talking to a player, a star player who has a wife right now who is pregnant, who does not want to come around their husband because of what's going on with the team being an enhanced protocol. So it's not just about athletes and their health and them being able to play in games. It's about community spread and potentially also impacting others, namely an unborn child.
I know that there's over 1,000 players, obviously, and there's going to be a lot of differing opinions. But what's been the overall reaction from players with this huge COVID positive spike we've seen over the last week or so?
Well, I was just talking to Josh Norman, who's a starting cornerback on the 49ers, who had a very interesting reaction when we were talking, just mentioning that, one, the process is not a democracy. Yes, they all have the ability to raise their voices, but at the end of the day, at least he's feeling that everyone gets heard when ultimately the protocols are agreed upon. And just mentioning also that there is an adjustment that you have to make to your schedule. And it is somewhat of a nuisance. But again, those are small adjustments to have to make when it comes to, safety and the overall health of people, and just, maintaining being the leader in that realm when you have such a, access to resources and being ahead of the curve with regards to what the rate is in society. But obviously, I also talked to people behind the scenes who do believe that the cadence should be, shortened or consistent for everybody, being as though, vaccinated players and unvaccinated players can both obviously get infected and spread. Yes, the rate of transmission is reduced with all of the vaccines and boosters that you can take, but the risk is still there.
Big name player potentially affected for tonight's game as well. Chiefs and Chargers in LA. Chris Jones remains on the COVID list. What's the latest on his status and health?
Well, we're still waiting to hear from head coach Andy Reid as to whether he has been activated off of the COVID list. Obviously, he went on there Tuesday. This is a player who's of great importance to the Chiefs defense, leads them as the sack leader with 7. You're also looking at a player, when you see that he's on the field, they're just allowing 5.4 yards per play. When he's off, 6.7. So that is a big jump. But this is also a team that has improved a lot defensively in their 6-game win streak, going down, just allowing 10 points per game. Before that, when they were 3-4, allowing 29. So Chris Jones is definitely somebody that we're looking to see. He adds to their defensive performance. But remember, again, as a vaccinated player, he has to have 2 negative tests 24 hours apart and be asymptomatic and be clear to be able to play this evening in a very important AFC West tilt.
So
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.